to live coverage of PSLV C-44. A beautiful view of the night sky and night view of PSLV on the launch pad. Today's flight of PSLV is the 46th flight of PSLV and 35th on the first launch pad. 11 have taken frame from the second launch pad. This is also the 70th launch mission from Sriharikota. In this context, history is going to make tonight. Tonight we are going to make history as we are launching a new variant of PSLV called PSLV DL for the first time. In PSLV DL configuration, the first stage of PSLV will be augmented with 2 strap-ons. Till now, we have either flown the PSLV in core-alone configuration or with 6 strap-ons. This is the first flight of PSLV DL, and it has been given a go-ahead after full design and simulation cycles and full reviews. View of Mission Control Center. We are about 8 minutes to launch.
आइए अब हम आपको आज के प्रक्षेपण के लिए पीएसएलवी के एक और वेरिएंट के बारे में विस्तृत जानकारी देते हैं। इस रॉकेट में केवल 2 स्ट्रैप ऑन एक्सेल रॉकेटों को कोर मोटर के साथ में समाकलित किया गया है। इन तीनों रॉकेटों से जो प्रणोद उत्पन्न होगा उससे पीएसएलवी C-44 अपने गंतव्य की ओर अग्रसित होगा। ये आपको मालूम होगा कि हमारे पास में पीएसएलवी के और जो वेरिएंट हैं उनमें 6 एक्सेल मोटर, उसके अलावा हमारा जिसमें हम कभी एक्सेल मोटर नहीं लगाते हैं उनको कोर एलोन पीएसएलवी की संज्ञा देते हैं। और भविष्य में हम पीएसएलवी QL को भी इस्तेमाल करेंगे। जैसे जैसे हमारा पेलोड का भार, उसी हिसाब से हम रॉकेट और उसके जो स्ट्रैप ऑन है उनको चूज करते हैं।
Hello and welcome to the Daily Space for today, January 24th, 2019. I'm your host, Dr. Pamela Gay, and I am here to put science in your brain. And the Indian Space Research Organization is here to put, well, stuff into space. We are going to be providing you live coverage of the upcoming launch of PSLV C-44. This is a rocket launch that will be putting a spacecraft into a polar orbit around the Earth. They are carrying a defense satellite as well as a variety of microsatellites, including a student's project on what is not a CanSat, what is not a suitcase sat, what is in fact a femtosat. So we are now just a few minutes away from launch. I'm going to bring up the audio for the weather.
The vehicle will be flying that trajectory only. Mission director again on your screens. Announcing the launch. This whole campaign of PSLV C-44 has been just for 30 days. That is, in 30 days, we have assembled this vehicle and we are ready for launch. The stacking started on 24th of December by assembling the core-base shroud and nozzle segment. Again, a view of PSLV standing on its first launch pad. In background, you can see the mobile service tower. And we are all waiting for the launch. Under 5 minutes, 20 seconds to go.
This is one of those times where we can truly see how the world turns. As I sit here in southern Illinois at lunchtime with the sun, well, somewhere high overhead, hidden in the clouds, we're watching a nighttime launch in India. There's also a certain unified look you see the world over of, oh dear God, will this thing actually work? That nervous anticipation as they build up console by console towards launch. Now, what gets me is they don't have a countdown clock on the screen. So I'm reluctant to switch and cover anything else. Hello, Susie. Hello, Hanny. Hello, everyone. So let's go ahead and listen to launch.
यानी 1 मिनट 50 सेकंड तक। मुख्य रॉकेट के अलग होते ही उसी समय द्वितीय चरण का प्रचलन होगा और ये द्वितीय चरण का प्रचलन विकास इंजन से है जिसमें 799 किलो न्यूटन का प्रणोद उत्पन्न होता है। ये इस रॉकेट को 188 किलोमीटर की ऊंचाई और 4.05 किलोमीटर पर सेकंड का वेग प्राप्त करता है। उसके बाद में इसके इंजन बंद कर दिए जाते हैं और इस रॉकेट को पृथक कर दिया जाता है और इससे 1 सेकंड के बाद इसका तृतीय चरण 4 मिनट 23 सेकंड पर प्रज्वलित किया जाएगा और ये चरण ठोस नोदक का है और ये 240 किलो न्यूटन का प्रणोद देता है। उसके बाद में ये 8 मिनट 13 सेकंड पे ये रॉकेट को मेन रॉकेट से अलग कर दिया जाएगा और ये 10 सेकंड की कोस्टिंग के बाद में चतुर्थ चरण जिसमें कि 2 इंजन है और प्रत्येक इंजन 7.6 किलो न्यूटन का प्रणोद देता है को प्रज्वलित किया जाएगा। इसके इंजन बंद करने का समय 766.56 सेकंड है, यानी कि 12 मिनट 78 सेकंड पर इस रॉकेट की गति जब 7.735 किलोमीटर होगी इसको अलग कर दिया जाएगा और PS4 जिसको कि 774 किलोमीटर पर सेकंड की गति है और 277 की ऊंचाई पर है।
Yay! Countdown clock. So we are 2 minutes 50 seconds away. It's giving us the time there in India. This will be going off just after midnight there. Sorry, just before midnight there.
Quickly, I'll run through what you expect in the launch today, the flight sequence. We will ignite the core stage, the PS1 and the 2 strap-ons, and the liftoff will happen, that is T0. The first stage will take the vehicle to the height of 60 kilometers and impart an initial velocity of 1.87 kilometers per second. It will burn out and separate at 109.6 seconds. And then the second stage will be ignited. Next, the heat shield separation will take place at an altitude of 116 kilometers. The flight time then will be 169 seconds, and the velocity will be 2.4 kilometers per second. 5 seconds after the heat shield separation, the closed loop guidance will be initiated, and then onwards, the vehicle will continuously compare its current state with the targets and follow the commanded path to achieve a view of mission control where we have just a second to go. There is definitely an excitement here building up as we always have the scientists intently and expectantly seeing the launch to happen. The second stage will run out at an altitude of 188 kilometers, and the third stage will take the vehicle to the altitude of 274 kilometers. The altitude is reached, but the vehicle doesn't have velocity then to sustain the orbit. That job will be done by PS4, and PS4 will give it to the required velocity of 7.74 meters per second, and it will burn itself out at around 766 seconds, and at 47 seconds later, at 8:30 seconds from liftoff, the microsat will be close to launch.
10, 9,
इस समय हम 10 सेकंड दूर हैं लॉन्च से। अब आपने स्क्रीन पे देखिएगा 3 सेकंड पे इसके जो 2 आखिरी रॉकेट उनका इग्निशन आपको दिख रहा होगा। अब इसके बाद में T0 आ गया और रॉकेट अपने लॉन्च पैड से ऊपर उठ रहा है।
A perfect liftoff
normal,
clearing the night skies.
P3 tracking,
PSLV climbing into the atmosphere. You can see it's as if the sky has been lit.
first stage performance normal,
The sound, the roar of PS1 S139 booster performing. This booster has a thrust of 4,800 kilonewtons, and it is negotiating the dense atmosphere of the Earth along with the strap-ons. The strap-ons are going to burn out in about 5 seconds.
इस समय जो आप देख रहे हैं
First stage performance normal.
और इस समय करीब 55 सेकंड का समय गुजर गया है। जो इसका जो स्टेप ऑन रॉकेट है वो 1 मिनट और 9 सेकंड पर से अलग कर दिया जाएगा। अब आपसे 5 सेकंड के बाद में एक कमांड दिया जाएगा जिससे कि इसके दोनों स्टेप ऑन्स को मेन रॉकेट।
So they are switching between languages. They just announced in English that they have had rocket separation. I'm going to go ahead and answer some of your questions while also paying attention to the stream. So India does have a very good track record with launches. We often forget that it's not just the United States and Russia. There are many other places that can launch rockets. We have India, so the first stage is ending. There goes the first stage. We also have India, we have Japan, we have Europe, with different parts of Europe sometimes claiming their own space agencies. So the second stage engine has started. So I saw folks asking, yes, now New Zealand as well. I had folks asking, does multiple stages imply more complexity? It's not so much that it implies more complexity as they shut off more weight, allowing them to get more lift. Additional stages both get them higher up and are just more efficient. Now, they also do kind of cheat. They count their stages a little bit differently from how we do. We don't generally count the engines on your final little rocket as part of the staging, and they did in a video that they showed earlier today. I don't know D7V1D exactly how many satellites there are in orbit. First of all, that changes on a daily basis as things self-destruct and deorbit. So payload has separated was an announcement they just made. Oh, thank you, David. Yes, that makes far more sense. So things spontaneously deorbit, things get launched pretty much daily. So yeah, things are constantly going up, things are constantly coming down, and I don't know. Many is the correct answer. So let me look and see. I'm gonna let. Here's
inside the this is the screen now. You can see the red line is the planned trajectory, and the green one is the trajectory which the vehicle is following. The blinking dot is the current position of the vehicle, and it's very clear from the screen that the vehicle is following its nominal path exactly as we intended to do.
That's 4 minutes.
इस समय आप
Second stage performance normal.
अपने स्क्रीन के ऊपर में देख रहे हैं ये हमारे
There's that magical word, everything is nominal. So it's true, we are spoiled by the way different places present. So the second stage has separated is what we just heard. So thank you, DPI 209. And that's just low Earth orbit. There's also everything up in higher orbits that are used for communications and weather. Here's
Third stage performance normal.
It's performing normally. It has 7.7 tons of propellant, develops a peak thrust of 240 kilonewtons, and burns for about 120 seconds. It has a length of 3.6 meters, and now on your screen, mission director looking quite relaxed because third stage is performing. First two stages have done very well, and the mission is following its nominal path. Again, on your screens, as the vehicle moves, we have covered a range of 620 kilometers from Srikalkata. We are at an altitude of 221 kilometers.
You can see from the map that they just showed that the satellite is heading pretty much straight south as it works its way towards a polar orbit.
And Sri Radhakrishnan, now Sri Kiran Kumar, former chairman of ISRO, on your screens. These distinguished scientists have led us with exemplary examples, and we are fortunate to have them here. Back on your screens, the mission control
6 minutes.
with Chairman ISRO, flanked
Third
by
stage
center directors,
performance normal.
senior scientists monitoring this launch from on their screen.
इस समय 371 सेकेंड हो चुके हैं और वेलोसिटी अराउंड 6.5 किलोमीटर पर सेकेंड है.
Third stage action completed.
और अभी भी अनाउंसमेंट किया गया है.
So the satellites that it's carrying are a military satellite. I'm guessing that's why it needs the polar orbit, but that's just a guess. It also has a student project on board and a variety of other microsatellites. As always, if there's a rocket going up, they're going to shove as much into that that spacecraft container as they can in order to get as much into space as, the launch vehicle allows. So everything continues to behave just as normal. They aren't currently speaking English on the feed. But as I said before, this is one of those reminders that space is something shared by all of us, with multiple different nations finding their own way into orbits of all shapes and sizes. It is an interesting new day. So here you can see the very southern orbit the very southern path that it's currently on. So they're saying everything's normal. Here we go.
Are achieved optimal to the targets of the satellite orbit. We are approaching the end of the course phase, and then the PS4 will be ignited. That's the last stage of the vehicle, which will take us to the orbit. Mission control views again.
फोर्थ स्टेज जो कि इसको
This is an experiment for India. This is one of the first times that they've actively turned off and turned back on their engines multiple times. They're also looking to reuse one of the stages on this rocket. They just announced that the third stage has correctly separated. So they're working to continue growing their technology. In some of their earlier preview videos, they made the clear point that every nation needs to design their own rockets, their own proprietary way into space, because no one's particularly sharing their own technology. So while China did steal a bit of their stuff from the Russians, nowadays that kind of theft is much harder to do. So what we're seeing is homegrown Indian technology. So I don't actually know if all polar orbits need to go in the same direction. After all, what direction they appear to be going in doesn't really have any effect based on the Earth's rotation. So I just don't know. So Veronica Cure is asking, is it easier for them to go to a polar orbit because of their geographical location? I don't know. I need to look at a map. Sorry, I was
satellite को बराबर
struggling to
track करते रहते हैं
understand the
और उनसे आने वाले सारे सिग्नलों
accents
को
while
हमारे
these
केंद्र
people
पे
are
वो भेजते
speaking
रहते
their
हैं।
native language,
लेकिन
the
जब
one they
कोई अवरोध
grew
आ
up
जाता है,
with,
जैसे
just
कि
like I
हमारा जो
sometimes
ग्राउंड
struggle to
स्टेशन है वो सिग्नल नहीं
understand
प्राप्त कर
people
सकता
from the
है,
deep
उसको
south.
सैटेलाइट
Sometimes the
में ही
Indian accents get the better of
उसको
me.
सेव कर लिया जाता है
Everything
और जैसे ही
is
सैटेलाइट हमारे ग्राउंड
continuing.
स्टेशन की विजिबिलिटी में आती है, उसके सारे सिग्नल हमको भेज दिए जाते हैं।
On your screens now you can see we have lost the signals and we are awaiting for the vehicle to reach in the range of Rodriguez Island's ground station.
So, as he stated, this is all completely normal. There's simply, they don't have as many ground relay stations as we do here in the United States, where we've worked out agreements with so many different nations. And we tend to go over a bit more land. India is much more isolated than we are. Now, there was the question, does India have an easier time getting into polar orbits than other nations? And the answer is not really. They're actually launching from a much more equatorial position than, say, Russia, which launches from weirdly northern locations. They aren't that different of a location than we are with Florida or California, which is again even more northern. And the thing is with polar launches, because I was really answering the question for launching in general, with polar launches, it doesn't matter how much help you get from the Earth's rotation. With a normal equatorial launch or a more equatorial launch, the Earth's rotation gives you some extra velocity as you head into your orbital path. If you're trying to get into a polar orbit, you have to shed some of that sideways velocity to get yourself going in that that polar circular orbit that you want to be in. So bottom line, their launch facility is pretty much comparable to ours in ease of getting into different kinds of orbits.
अनाउंसमेंट किया गया है कि हमारी सैटेलाइट में PS4 से अलग हो गई है और ये अपनी कक्षा में स्थापित हो गई है।
On your screens, the
PS4
satellite
engine will be
moving away
restarted after 40
from
minutes
the
from now,
launcher.
and
The
second
PS4
restart
and
from
satellite separation
85 minutes from
shown
now.
live to you
Over to Mr.
on your
Director.
screens by our video cameras on board.
Mission Director, injection of microsat R satellite by PSLV C-44 has been successfully accomplished.
Mission Director announcing that the mission is successfully accomplished, and on your screens now, Chairman ISRO. Beautiful view of the satellite moving away from the PS4, and Chairman ISRO being congratulated by Center Directors. View of MCC, and in the backdrop you have the our VVIP gallery.
Okay, so I'm going to use that to conclude today's coverage of the Indian launch and move instead to the silliness of not windproofing your spacecraft. On the left, you see a beautiful photograph. This is not an artistic rendering. This is a photograph of the Starship being built down in Texas. Here it is, fully coupled with the hopper and its base station. That's on the left. On the right, you see what happens in 50-mile-per-hour winds in Texas when you build things outside. So maybe don't do that. I have a video that was captured that is rather fabulous, if for nothing else other than the dog. So here we are. This is photography taken as they drive past the location in Texas. You can see on its side the nose cone in the foreground. You can see the winged bit in the background. So Elon Musk has stated that there is significant damage. He estimates it will take several weeks to repair. I think that's optimistic. Here's the real reason to watch this video. Happy dog watching out the window. And there again is the, it fell over and went boom. So there is much coverage of this all over Twitter. If you need a small moment of joy, the sarcasm and humor of, dude, why didn't you build things inside and bolt them down better? Comparisons to The Martian, all sorts of sad and wonderful tweets have come out surrounding this news. I hate to take light of this moment, but sometimes you just have to laugh at the reality we all share. And in this case, seeing the spacecraft get built so quickly, they started assembling this, I believe, in late November, completed basic assembly in January. It's still January, and now it has fallen over and gone boom. Hopefully they'll get it fixed and won't discover that something broke that they didn't catch, and they will be able to quickly resume testing, or start testing, as the case may be. So yeah, it fell over. I don't know what else to say. In other news, we have Opportunity rover, still hasn't called home, but today is its 15th anniversary, 15th birthday, however you choose to phrase it, of being on the surface of Mars. I still remember the day it landed. The news coverage was reporting the temperature where it was on Mars, and where I sat in my office in Boston, it was warmer on Mars than where I was. And I kind of envied the little rover that could. It's warm day on the red planet. So, yeah, thank you for all you did for us, Opportunity. You helped us explore another world, and you lived so far beyond your 90 days. We're proud of you, little rover. So, yeah, today is one of those days where we have this amazing launch of an Indian rocket. We have SpaceX falling over. We have Opie remaining silent. And we have, in other news, NASA is getting ready to shut down one more of its major ways that we get to experience and join in on the endeavor to do science. So I want to share with you what has now gone live. Some of you, let me do what I can to embiggen this. At the top of this window, written in red, it says the Inspire's help desk is not available due to power outage. Okay, that I wasn't expecting. Below the power outage is what I was actually expecting to read. If the partial federal shutdown extends past January 31, then Inspires will be unavailable due to lack of funding. So what's going on right now is whatever programs still had allocated funds remaining from the former contract that they had, they were allowed to keep going until they ran out of those allocated funds. We saw the Smithsonian was able to keep going for a few days into January. And Spires, which is the place that all of us go to find out about federal funding for NASA research. Well, when this goes down, this means that we can't access anything about our existing grants, and we can't even look at the proposals. Now, day by day, we've seen each of the upcoming grant deadlines go from due on to TBA, to be announced. And what we're starting to hear is the earliest that any grants will be due into NASA. And this isn't confirmed yet, but this is what's going through as various people who are allowed to proofread the policies leak what they're seeing. And this is also consistent with prior government shutdowns. So what we're starting to get word of is it will be no sooner than 60 days after the government opening that we can begin to see grants being due. That's no earlier than. In reality, it will probably be longer than that, as it takes time to just get things posted, sort through the paperwork, and make sure that everyone has a fair chance to apply for the grant. And that 60 days is considered a fair amount of time to spend writing a grant. Now, it generally takes anywhere from 6 months to a year after you've put in that grant proposal that you can expect to begin to see funding. We're looking at, that means 8 months, 60 days, plus at a minimum 6 months after the government reopens at the earliest, before we can expect new funding to go out. This is extremely troubling because a lot of people live grant to grant. Just like some people live paycheck to paycheck, this is the bigger version of that. You put in and you ask for funding to do that great, new, amazing thing, and you get 2 years funding, 5 years funding, somewhere in between there quite often. And then as you start to near the end of your grant, you either put in to continue what you're working on, build on your program, or you put in grants to do something entirely new. And you put those grants in expecting that you won't have a gap in funding, expecting that things will go as they've always gone before. And when there is that gap in funding, it's hard. My particular program line, we got notice in 2014 that there would be, in 2014, that there would be no new grants delivered that year, that we all needed to keep our funding going through, in fact, the end of 2015. And this is where we all turned to whatever means possible, canceling things, scrimping things, not hiring interns, not hiring grad students. It's the youngest and most easy to slash that are the ones that are slashed first. So now what we're looking at is everyone is looking at a gap in funding. And this is particularly hard in the planetary sciences where there's so many fewer faculty positions. In astronomy, there's always that one astronomy class needed for education majors at the very least. And there's here and there entire astronomy departments. But very, very rarely do you have a planetary science department. Very rarely do you have tenured planetary science professors. And so all of these people out there exploring other worlds, building spacecraft, they now know at someday in the future, they will go without paychecks. And that's hard. We are seeing that as of last week, NASA's postdocs, the NASA postdoctoral program, fellowship rather, is unable to pay its people. These are the best and brightest. They're already underpaid. We don't pay our PhDs early in their career all that much. And now they're without pay. Many of these people are going to start leaving for other fields, looking for jobs outside of research, looking for jobs in other nations. So we're looking at a brain drain out of the United States as this endures. Whatever your politics may be, whether you're for the wall or against it, whatever your view may be. I think all of us can agree that this government shutdown is systematically harming our U.S. economy as it harms individuals who can't buy food, who have kids whose schools are on bases, are on centers, are in places that are currently shut down, and those kids don't have a school to go to. It's hard. Take care of one another. Check on your neighbors. Find out who is a government contractor or a government employee who may need help right now. And even if they don't know how to ask for help, offer it. And if they're like, no, I'm fine, just happen to make that extra crock pot of, whatever is culturally relevant and take it to them. Take care of each other, people. This isn't just a political argument. This is people going hungry. It's a hard world out there. Now, we are here thanks to you. We lost our massive CosmoQuest grant back in October. We were warned it might get lost due to James Webb Space Telescope cost overruns, and it was. we had a couple of other grants that aren't transferring because the government is shut down. So we're waiting. That's half of my salary lost, eaten by a government shutdown. But at least we have your help. So thank you. As always, we are sustained by you. Your subscriptions keep us going. That's Annie and I now. All your donations go to taking care of my staff. When you follow us on Patreon, that is helping us even more. So please consider supporting us on Patreon at patreon.com/CosmoQuestX. Consider subscribing to this channel. You're helping at least a few people being affected by this shutdown, being affected by cost overruns on missions that seem destined never to fly. You can help. But most of all, check on your neighbors. Take care of each other. It's a hard world out there. So now I'm going to answer your questions, and while you type those in, I'm going to remind you once again that the Daily Space is part of CosmoQuest, and we are brought to you by the Planetary Science Institute, thank you, Veronica, working in collaboration with Youngstown State University. We are here most Mondays through Fridays to bring you whatever is new in space and astronomy. And thank you. Thank you for helping us go. So let me look and see what questions there are that I haven't gotten to yet. So Larry Weird and Proud is asking, did we lose Dr. Matt? Yes, we did. He has a bunch of kids. He needs health insurance. He is currently working with another research team through the Planetary Science Institute and looking for a job. Yeah. It's hard. Scrolling to see other questions. Yeah, I'm seeing so many discussions of all the insanity going on in the world. Thank you, the Roman alien, for your subscription. That makes me ask, are you from Romulus? Bad pun. Bad pun. It just needed to be done. But let's keep lighting up the chat for the new sub. Thank you so much, the Roman alien. I love your username. So other questions, that wasn't a question, other subs. I'm happy to keep thanking those. So the question is, did you see the talk of a second impact during the eclipse? No, I've only seen about one impact. There was, for those of you who don't know, it appears to have been some sort of a bright flash on the moon that was noticed during the complete lunar eclipse. It was seen by, well, large swaths of the planet Sunday night into Monday. This was noticed by a variety of different people doing imaging work as well as naked eye observers. Folks are still gathering up the data. I personally am waiting to see if the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter is able to find the fresh crater that may have formed. Now, impacts like this are not unusual. People look at the crescent moon on a regular basis to try and see these dark flashes in the non-illuminated part of the moon that is so much easier to see at night. This lunar eclipse was just a unique moment of so many people looking out at once, imaging at once, and hopefully capturing data all at once. Yeah, Susie is right. Most state budgets are too strained to help right now. States also require funding from the federal government to maintain many of their programs. And without that federal aid, without those federal tax dollars going to the states too are suffering. Yeah. Yeah, Planetary Kristen is on the front lines trying to help people in her area. What I'm hearing is our federal assistance program for people who are on permanent disability sent out its February checks and will not be able to send out checks in March. This means that people who are home due to permanent disability, including veterans and folks who suffer from physical illness and really have no other recourse, aren't going to be able to eat, aren't going to get the money they need to pay their rent. All of that is going away. So imagine that you're a disabled vet unable to work because of the service you did in your nation, who relies on federal disability dollars and food stamps. You're about to become homeless because you served your nation. Yeah, that's a thing. I'm not proud of my nation right now. Yeah, SSI is losing its funding. Food stamps, in particular, the way they work here is we have what look like credit cards. These are EBT or SNAP cards, depending on what state you're in. They have deposited the February funds on the cards already, and have said there will be no more funds until food stamps is over. Until the government shutdown is over. And yeah. So Hanny is asking, is redshift just an effect caused by space, or is light actually stretched? The light waves are actually stretched. Yeah. As the space is stretched, the light stays the same size relative to space, but as that space gets bigger, those wavelengths get bigger as well. It's kind of cool the way it works. Good afternoon, the Midnicorn. So you are coming in just as I'm getting ready to end this off before we go down a political rabbit hole I do not wish to embark upon. I am going to encourage folks to, like I said, take care of your neighbors, check on folks, make sure that everyone is okay with all of the people, millions of people now that are being affected by the U.S. government shutdown. Take food to those in need. Offer your internet connections to those who had to shut off their own, and just be good to one another. And I'm going to thank you once again for making it possible for my people who are being affected by the shutdown, because the grant we have isn't transferring, because we can't apply for new grants. Thank you, Veronica Cure. I'm going to thank you once again for making at least my people, we have something coming in. So if you can support us on patreon.com/CosmoQuestX, I am going to be mailing out rewards today, tomorrow, as long as it takes for me to get everything out. Those of you who won door prizes during the Hangout-a-thon, we finally have clear roads. I can drive again. We had a hitch with snow last week. I mailed yesterday all of the domestic shipments. I'm still completing all of the customs forms for the international shipments, and they should go out later today or tomorrow morning. It depends on how long it takes me to fill out all those customs forms. So expect things shortly. Thank you so much for your patience. Customs forms are not fun. Yeah, writer's cramp incoming. Totally true. Totally true. So thank you all for being here. And thanks for supporting us. I will be back tomorrow bringing you more science, space, astronomy, all of it right here at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. That is 6 p.m. London time. And I am going to roll the credits. And after I am done rolling the credits, I am going to find a friendly soul to raid. If anyone has good suggestions of people to raid, please let me know. I need to work on adding folks to our raid. So wherever you are in the world, have a fabulous morning, evening, afternoon. Get outside, stay warm, and look up. Bye-bye, everyone.